Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Max AC channel. For this month, we will be continuing Meatless March, where we will be making 4 recipes that are as delicious as they are meatless. For this week's episode, we will be making some Margherita Pizza. For this recipe, we will be making things from scratch, so for the dough, you will need 3.5 to 4 cups of 00 pizza flour. You can of course use all-purpose flour, but 00 flour will create a crispier pizza with lots of big airy pockets and just the right amount of chew. But all-purpose flour works well if that's all you have. In addition to this, you will also need 1 envelope of instant dry yeast. You can also use active dry yeast, just make the appropriate substitutes. You will also need 1 teaspoon of sugar to help feed your yeast and aid in the leavening, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1.5 cups of warm water to activate the yeast, and 2 tablespoons of olive oil, plus a little more to coat the bowls when we rise the dough. Then for the sauce, you will need a can of at least 15 ounces of crushed tomatoes. Any type of tomatoes will do, but San Marzano is recommended. You will also need another tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, 1 garlic clove, half teaspoon of dried oregano, and half teaspoon of salt. Then for the toppings, you will need some fresh mozzarella cheese, some basil leaves, and optionally some semolina flour or cornmeal to dust the bottom of the pizza to keep it from sticking. First, for the dough, combine the flour, sugar, yeast, and salt in a bowl and mix that together. Once everything is well combined, check the temperature of the water and make sure it's about 105 to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and then add the water and beat it until the dough forms into a shaggy mixture. Then add in your oil and mix that until everything forms together. You can continue to mix it in the bowl, but I find it easier after a little while to turn it onto a floured surface and knead the dough with my hands. If the dough is sticky, add additional flour, 1 tablespoon at a time, until the dough comes together in a solid ball. If the dough is too dry, add additional water, 1 tablespoon at a time. Continue kneading the dough for about 8 minutes or so, or until the dough is pillowy and soft. Once you've finished kneading the dough, pinch and stretch it into a ball like so. Coat a large bowl with 2 tablespoons or so of olive oil, and then place your dough in the bowl, rolling it around in the oil, and then cover it with some plastic wrap. Then let it rest for an hour or so at room temperature until the dough doubles in size. Once your dough has doubled, turn it out onto a lightly floured surface and cut it into 2 equal pieces. You of course can cut it into more than 2 equal pieces if you want to make smaller pizzas, but these pieces should be good for 2 12-inch pizzas. You can use the dough right away, but I recommend letting it rise again in the fridge overnight if you have time. Doing this will improve the taste and texture of the dough. If you do choose to do so, degas your dough and re-roll the dough pieces back into balls, and then place them in separate bowls with plenty of room to increase in size. Cover them with plastic wrap, and then place them into the fridge. Then, when you're ready to use the dough, cover the dough with a damp towel and allow them to come to room temperature for 30 to 45 minutes. This will make it easier to stretch and work with the dough. While we wait for our dough, place a pizza stone or tray in the oven and preheat your oven to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. And since we have time now as well, we will be making the pizza sauce now. In a bowl or blender, add in your canned tomatoes, roughly chopped garlic cloves, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, oregano, and salt. You can just use it as is, but if you want your sauce to be smoother, blend your ingredients together until your desired consistency. If you plan on using your dough right away, you can also do these steps while you're waiting for the dough to rise for the first time. If you have any leftover sauce, you can store it in a jar in the fridge for about a week to use in other recipes. When your dough is ready to use, remove it from the bowl onto a lightly floured surface, stretch your dough out into a circle by gently pressing and shaping it into one. Once your dough is about 8 inches or so, pick up the dough and let gravity stretch it out to about 12 inches or so. Don't worry about making it a perfect circle, it's homemade, so I find that the misshapen size adds to the charm of the homemade nature of it. And it'll still taste the same, so just make it into the size that you want. And also, just make sure you don't overwork or fold the dough, as that will affect the texture of it. Then, when your pizza is stretched out to the size you desire, sprinkle pizza peel or cutting board with some cornmeal, and then carefully place the dough on top. This will help keep the dough from sticking to the peel when you transfer it to the pan in the oven. As an alternative to this, you can also use parchment paper to transfer the pizza to the pan as well. In either case, before you place your pizza in the oven, first top your dough with pizza sauce. Spread it out evenly and then add your mozzarella cheese. If your mozzarella is a bit wet, I recommend trying to dry it out since it'll sweat out in the oven and make your pizza a big puddle if you add too much mozzarella. If you're making your pizza in a pizza oven, add the basil leaves now, but for a standard oven, wait until after to add them, otherwise they will burn up. When you're ready, transfer your pizza to the pizza pan in the preheated oven and bake it for 7 to 10 minutes or until the cheese is melted and the crust starts to brown. If you are using a pizza oven, I'm not sure why you need instructions from me, but just bake it for 60 to 90 seconds or so. Then, when the pizza is done, top with your basil and some Parmesan cheese if desired, slice it into pieces, and your Margherita pizza is ready to eat. When I was thinking of recipes to make for this month, I knew that I wanted to make some sort of pizza, but I wasn't sure what kind to make. I eventually narrowed it down to either the Neapolitan pizza or the Margherita pizza, but it actually turns out that they're the same pizza. Well, to be more specific, the Margherita pizza is essentially just a Neapolitan pizza, which is a mozzarella and tomato pizza with basil. They even created an official standard for what is considered a vera pizza napolitana. I was considering following these instructions, but the ingredients needed for it to be considered authentic can only really be sourced in Italy, so I just adapted it to the ingredients I have here. Though, regardless of where you get your ingredients, the pizza should taste great. As a quick tip to warm up your pizza, you can of course use the microwave, but if you want to keep the crispiness of the pizza, I recommend using the oven, or my preferred method, using an air fryer, to warm up the pieces for a few minutes until they're heated up. It obviously won't be as good as when it is fresh, but any pizza is a good pizza, right? Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. In the comments below, let me know how it went if you decided to make it, and let me know if there's anything you want me to make next. Like the video, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to this channel for more episodes of the Max AC channel. And remember, if you want to stay cool in the kitchen, turn your AC to the max and watch the Max AC channel.